from any one of you guys on what happened on Her Take. I don't want your opinions. Guys, here. This is our show. This is our brand. We're not going to say anything here. We're going to move on. I'm giving you mine. You're hearing it from the EP of Her Take. I want to take a moment quickly to address that.
The Vanguard will be there, sir.
All right, so we talked a little bit about how Jillian Michaels is officially off the Her Take island, much like back in the reality TV, world from which she came. She's been booted off the island by herself. She booted herself off of the island. There may be a replacement in the near future, but Her Take is continuing without her, and they just did another episode a couple of days ago, a bit of a show of strength, in my opinion, saying, nope, we're not even taking a freaking hiatus. We're coming back even sooner than you thought with a brand new episode, and this one features Will Witt, who's a PragerU guy, total lame, talking head. But what I thought was really interesting here was the section about the government shutdown. And Zach, I was just appalled by the way that Ana Kasparian totally refused to actually do the job she's there to do, which is to be the only person on the panel who's so-called a member of the left, right? The lack of pushback here is frankly astounding. And even though Ana is certainly asserting control over this show, she doesn't really seem to be doing it in an ideological way. It seems to be more in a personality-based way. But even though she's now potentially assumed the role of the alpha female in the wake of Jillian's exit, again, it doesn't look like she's going to use that opportunity to really hoist her ideology or her supposed ideology on the show. Just her personality, like I said, as this proves.
Interesting. Yeah, let's take a look.
Chuck Schumer has been adamant on this point. He keeps talking about the healthcare for he uses undocumented immigrants. We cannot afford to pay for healthcare for illegals. We just can't. I'm sorry. That's something that I cannot abide. We have millions of Americans who are homeless, who are suffering. We should be taking care of them first.
Including veterans.
There's nothing bigoted about wanting to care for Americans first. We have so many homeless encampments around the country.
Is that really the sticking point?
That is one of the major sticking points, that Chuck Schumer wants to expand healthcare coverage.
So I just want to understand, because I literally don't know.
I think that's a dumb political point to make too, because it's easy to argue against.
One of the other things that I'm curious about is when it comes to the government funding bill.
Okay, so this is crazy.
Because of the
undocumented people are not getting Medicare coverage. That's just complete misinformation. This is 100% predicated on a lie, which obviously Gavin. But it's just astounding that she just lets them say that and then is like, oh, I don't know about that. Like, what the fuck have you been up to for the last 15 years, if not covering progressive politics, right? How could you possibly not know this? How could you allow this straw man to be built right in front of you?
Yeah, no, it's totally shocking, Zach. You're 100% correct. And I actually queued up this clip from freaking George Stephanopoulos, of all people, just to contrast, because as you said, Zach, TYT is supposed to be the home of progressive media. They've consistently made it their sort of point that, like, we're the truth tellers. They've positioned themselves against establishment mainstream media. But take a look at George Stephanopoulos here with a much better analysis of the situation right to Speaker Johnson's face, pointing out these exact lies.
The Democratic proposal is designed to prevent millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
That's an absurd statement, what you said there. Let's be clear about what happened last night, George. No, George, let me tell you what happened last night. Everybody can go and review the facts for themselves. 44 Senate Democrats voted to reject a clean, nonpartisan continuing funding resolution to keep the United States government. The Democrats said instead that they wanted to give health care to illegal aliens instead of keeping critical services provided for the American citizens. That's what happened, plain and simple. Every Democrat in the House, except one, voted against the clean continuing resolution. It was nonpartisan in nature. There are no policy riders on it that Republicans favored. It's exactly what Chuck Schumer and other Democrats voted for in March. But they've changed their tune. They changed their tune because Chuck Schumer is having political problems right now. That's just a simple fact. And everybody knows that he's trying to outrun the far left portion of his base. So he's decided to inflict pain on the American people.
Here are facts. Here are the facts. The proposal does not provide health care for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care under the Affordable Care Act. They cannot receive health care subsidies. No. Illegal immigrants are ineligible for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Program. The Democratic bill does not make them eligible.
Boom. Literally, and a child would know that. Literally anybody. The only people who pretend not to know that are liars.
Yep. Yep, totally shocking, right? Someone like George Stephanopoulos, just a pretty status quo kind of talking head on TV, able to just completely destroy those right wing lies, which have become completely prevalent on social media. If you look anywhere that you're going to see right wing posts about how the Democrats want to fund healthcare for illegals, just like how Kamala, Zach, remember one of her top priorities was funding the surgeries for illegal transsexuals. Yep. That's the number one item on the fucking Democrats list, and it's infuriating to watch someone like Ana Kasparian, who claims to be on the left, as she says, I'm not a leftist, but I am technically on the left. It's infuriating to see her not be able to give the proper pushback and just immediately fold to Lindy's framing of the situation, which is, of course, just a total regurgitation of the Republican Party talking points meant to justify taking people's health care and benefits away from them. But this somehow gets even worse, Zach. You want to keep watching just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to the government funding bill, because of the cost of borrowing, they have to up the amount every time they vote on the legislation. Is that one of the other arguments Democrats are making, or is it something different?
It's basically the healthcare, and also Chuck Schumer is like, I'm not going to cave on this because in the previous bill I caved. That's another thing. He's saying, you give me something in return this time, because Chuck Schumer didn't really get much of substance on this. So right now, it's
terrible.
Okay, can you pause it?
Terrible leader.
Oh my God. This is what's crazy. Anna has absolutely no political beliefs of her own outside of the fact that she hates Israel and apparently she hates homeless people too. But this is wild because there are about 1 million criticisms of Chuck Schumer that you could make. But the criticism is that he rolled over and got nothing last time. It is not that he's holding the line this time. Hey, Anna, do you realize that right now, for the moment, Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders are aligned? Hell no on this bill. Shut down the fucking government. Bernie Sanders was on MSNBC, a night or two ago? I think it was 2 nights ago. And he was saying, listen, guys, this bill is horrible for the American people. It's wretched for the American people. No senator in good conscience can vote for this. Okay, so you're not just throwing Chuck Schumer under the bus, right? You're throwing Bernie Sanders under the bus. You're throwing the entire spectrum of the Democratic Party under the bus, and you're capitulating to lies. You are capitulating to shameful, harmful lies. The same way that she's done, I might add, for the entire Trump administration. She has constantly run cover for Trump. She has constantly accepted the propaganda lines from people like Lindy Lee, from people like Tucker Carlson. Do you remember when she was saying that, oh, he's only going to go after the bad immigrants. He's only going to go after the real criminal immigrants. He's going to do what Bill Clinton did. No, that he's going to rip people off the streets for political dissent, for free speech. He's going to put people in concentration camps. He's going to work with foreign countries to disappear people, Anna. You ran cover for that, and now you're acting like a fucking idiot when you're supposed to be the one that used to be from the Medicare for All channel. Let's remind people of that. One of the pillars, one of the foundational bedrocks of the entire Young Turks movement, what they were trying to build with our revolution and by anchoring themselves to Bernie Sanders, was saying this was a fundamental policy. But now they're taking chapter advertisements. Cenk Uygur no longer supports Medicare for All. And now Ana Kasparian wants to say that illegal immigrants, that's her words right there. She's allowing Lindy Lee to say illegal, undocumented people are coming into our country and stealing our healthcare. And that's why we have homeless veterans. Are you fucking kidding me? You have no pushback for that?
Yeah, that's great. So the bottom line is they don't really have much leverage. The Democrats, you just don't, because their threat is basically, it's like, don't threaten me with a good time. Republicans want the government.
I just can't stand this dysfunction. I'm going to be honest, and I've talked about this on the show before. I am worried about our debt. And I didn't think the big, beautiful bill was a responsible bill to pass, considering billions of dollars to our debt.
Are you kidding me?
We're spending $1 trillion a year servicing our debt right now. That's part of the reason why Donald Trump is like so adamant about the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates. But
what? That is a fucking insane lie.
It's in an inflationary period, you know? So I'm worried about what this means for our economy. I'm worried.
One, let's take it from the top. Do you know why Donald Trump likes low interest rates? Because he's a fucking billionaire real estate tycoon and he wants to borrow more and buy more. Duh. Are you fucking brain dead? Two, it is laughable. It is insane. It is absurd to argue that this is good for the Republican Party, bro. Donald Trump's support is about to tank way further than it has been. This is the one time the Democrats actually do have leverage, Lindy Lee. They do have fucking leverage. The government is going to shut the fuck down, and it is going to be a disaster for Donald Trump, who was already tanking in his approval ratings.
Yup. So just a few more seconds here, and then
Sorry
we'll
to keep
move
cutting
on.
it.
Oh no, you're totally fine. You're totally fine. I knew this would set you off because I was watching this yesterday, just being like, "Oh my fucking god, here we go." That's your pushback. I'm also really concerned about the debt.
Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah.
Worried about stagflation. We're going to talk about that a little later. I'm worried about all of it. But what are your thoughts, Will, about the possibility of the government shutting down? Do you think it's catastrophic?
I wish it would last longer, honestly. But all this stuff is performative show. I mean, these
I agree
people
with you
coming on and doing
100%.
this, they're playing around with people's lives,
Yes.
people's jobs,
Yep.
their livelihoods, their families. And it's like, just so they can go on CNN and talk about it. And they go and they argue in Congress and they're all out to dinner
Yes.
together with the same lobbyists. And it's like,
It's the
you guys don't
uniparty
give-
theater.
yeah, you guys
That's
don't
what I
give a
see
shit
this
about
as.
any
Yeah,
of
and
us.
this is something that people might not know, but for the conservatives, and I am such a fiscal conservative, like the hardcore, and I'm with you so much on the debt. Like, I want to hug you. I agree with you so much. I do want to say though, on the
Lindy Lee, she wants to hug Anna so much because she agrees with her to that extent on the debt. And again, it's like, you know, I see what Anna's doing here. Obviously, she's trying to cuddle up to these ladies and their ideology. And it's kind of just like the frog in boiling water thing. Like, oh, just, you know, day by day, a little bit more and more, I'll drop the pretense of even being on the left. And a year from now, you'll be tuning in to Anna and she'll just be 100% right-wing talking points about the debt and the deficit and fiscal conservatism and you know, all this kind of crap that she's now just casually dropping into her analysis, well, totally omitting the left-wing perspective that she still sometimes espouse on the Young Turks. It's kind of interesting, Zach, because if you tune into TYT, you'll still see Anna occasionally go on a pretty fiery, you know, left-wing sort of rant. But on her take, increasingly, she's just totally not even really showing that side of herself. And she's just obviously pandering to these people, which does make the show way more boring. Like, if you take a look at someone like Jessica Tarlov over on Fox's The Five, I don't know if you've ever watched that show, Zach, but she's like it's kind of like The View on Fox, and then Jessica's the one like left winger or moderate or whatever. But at least she actually puts up a fight. Like, at least she actually triggers, you know, the other assholes on that panel, and she'll actually like get like scrap with them and like be a fiery, feisty, you know, sort of a left flank type, even though she identifies as a moderate. Yeah, people agree. Yeah, she actually does a good job. She does what Anna should do on her take. But as you see, Anna always just rolls over and is like, yeah, you know what? The Republicans are right about the debt and the deficit. It's like, that's not even a really compelling conversation. Like, who is this for? Like 50-year-old men who grew up watching Fox News and shit?
Oh, 100%. And I think it's because she quite literally misunderstands her role there. She wants to cuddle up and get the approval of Patrick Bet-David, so she's out there saying a lot of things that she thinks he would like to hear, probably in the same way that through much of her time at TYT, she was going out there and saying things that she thought Cenk would want to hear, right? Clearly, she didn't believe them herself. She comes out here and talks shit on all of the reporting that she did at TYT. She throws all of her former reporting, her former takes, that, you know, time she was able to stand up for progressive values on TYT. She throws it all under the bus. She throws mud on it. She says, oh, that was horrible. I can't believe I did that. Why did she do it then? Most likely to win the approval of her boss. She started working for Cenk when she was 19, and she was like, here's how I can climb the ladder. I'll say things that this guy likes, and then he'll celebrate me, and then he'll promote me, and then I'll keep my job. Well, it seems like she's running that same playbook, that same scheme over on the Her Take network, right? She's like, okay, here's what I can say that I know will be feeding red meat to PBD. Here's what his audience wants to hear, because that's what they're all doing. Amy Dangerfield, Lindy Lee, they're all doing the same thing. What are they doing? They're performing for one guy. They're all doing pick me shit for Patrick Bet David. That's exactly what he wanted with this show, right? That's exactly what he wanted with this show. And I think that he just did it because it strokes his ego. All of these women are out here just competing for PBD, and he's not even there. They're just performing for him. And Anna doesn't even really do much that's exclusively a left position, period, right? She doesn't say much, excuse me. That's an exclusively left position. She'll come out here and defend Israel. Or excuse me, she'll criticize Israel. She'll come out here and say, oh, this is horrible. I hate these atrocities. But she does it with this weird, right-wing rhetoric now. She comes out and she talks about how our tax dollars are funding this and my government's spending this and we can't afford it anymore. And she does less of the, this is an atrocity, this is a genocide. Like, she does that too. But recently she's really been framing it through the lens of these are our tax dollars going over there to do it, which is a formula for attracting right-wingers who are critical of Israel, right? We've seen Dave Smith have a lot of success with that kind of argument as well. And then the rest of her arguments are all pretty much right-wing. I hate the homeless. I hate trans people. I don't think that we should pass this Medicare coverage because too many illegals are doing it. I don't think the Democrats should hold out. I think we should cut Medicare coverage. I think we should cut funding for Obamacare. Are you fucking kidding me? That is a right-wing position. I'm struggling outside of foreign policy to think of one progressive left position that she has left.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes you'll hear it more on TYT, right?
Like what, though?
I mean, just basic criticisms of Donald Trump and like what he's doing in Portland and Chicago. Like, she was railing against that the other night on the Young Turks. I'll give her credit where it's due.
Gotcha.
My point is that she never actually goes on those rants on her take. She never challenges her co-host. She always coddles them and panders to not only them, but Patrick Bet David. I also wanted to throw this up on screen because, regardless of what we think about Ana Kasparian, at least she still has a serious career. If anything, she's, really on the precipice of discovering that audience that she's been after. But let's take a look at, the state of Jillian Michaels' career in the week or so since she stormed off the set of Her Take. The comment section seems to be hilariously almost in unanimous agreement that the show is now better, that this was like the best episode yet, directly because of Jillian's absence. The show is 100% better without Jillian. What a great show. These three ladies have found a great balance here. The show got better. LMAO, sad to see Jillian go, but I think the rest of the crew will be fine without her. I'm still going to watch. Here's Shoe on Head. Someone in our chat was speculating that potentially Shoe on Head would make for a good replacement host, that she might be vying for the gig herself. Who knows if that's true? But she left a comment saying, it's sad that Jillian left, but oh my God, it's so much calmer and easier to watch, at least this episode. Which is pretty funny considering the fact that I usually enjoy it when the show pops off a little bit more. I don't think it's necessarily better when it's calmer.
I think that's the whole point of the show, is that it's supposed to pop off more, right? Like The View or like that Fox show you referenced.
Exactly. But it does seem like a lot of comments here, including this one, say, Jillian interrupted too much and was too dramatic. So maybe people weren't really digging that vibe from Jillian specifically for whatever reason. Some people can pull off that more aggressive vibe. Some people, it just kind of seems like it's screechy or grating when they do it. So maybe Jillian just, didn't seem like she could do it and it rubbed people the wrong way. But yeah, it's pretty hilarious to see the entire comment section turn against her. Do you have any commentary on this before we show you what she's been up to on her own personal channel?
Well, actually, one thing I did notice when I was getting ready for the show today, Gavin, and I think if you scroll up, we'll see it. If you scroll back up to the description, right, it'll show that the host is still listed as Jillian Michaels. So if you scroll down a little bit further, it'll say like, oh, no, they finally updated it. Here, let me show the one that's on my screen that came out today where they must have missed the fix on it, where it still has host Jillian Michaels, panel Ana Kasparian, Lindy Lee, Amy Dangerfield. This is from a clip that they uploaded today from the time afterwards. But what really stood out to me about this, it's probably been on all of them up to this point. But the reason Ana Kasparian has been cuddling up to PBD, the reason that she's been only saying shit that PBD will want to hear is because she wanted to be the host, right? I guarantee you there was more money for Jillian Michaels on the table because she was credited as host than there was on the table for the people who were credited as panelists, right? Ana Kasparian is all about that bread, boy. That's why she constantly bitches about Hassan. That's why she constantly bitches about the money that she lost out on when she decided to stay at the Young Turks, right? She's very, very scorned by the fact that she feels like she missed out on big money. I think that's a big reason as to why she's gunning for the host. I think that right there was a pay increase, and every single one of these ladies on the panel wants it.
It's a great point, Zach, and I genuinely do think that Anna's probably the one who. And again, it's just funny to say this is a huge Ana Kasparian hater, right? But I do think she probably deserves it the most out of these three. Like, I think she has a bigger following than Lindy Lee or Amy Dangerfield. But again,
she's definitely out of the ones that are left, she's by far and away the best. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's why it's an extra shame that she doesn't actually bring that fire to the Her Take panel that she's capable of, but we see less and less from her. Obviously on Israel, she's more than willing to go there, but it seems like she's not really truly willing to, clash with the other hosts in a way that would be interesting, or compelling broadcast. But either way, I also wanted to show you this, Zach. I thought this was really hilarious. Jillian Michaels obviously has her own channel too. We've showed you guys that, and how few views it typically gets. But since the Her Take walkout, obviously we reacted to the video she did with James Lee, kind of breaking down the situation. But since then, she's also posted this new video with none other than Dave Rubin, someone who we know is her actual friend because they were co-hosts on that.
Yeah, I guess you were right about that.
Right. And I actually did rewatch that, Zach, and you were low-key right. That was, even though everyone else on the show was actual friends, it was Jillian and Russell's first time meeting ever on that show. Because remember, he didn't know she was like a lesbian, and they made some awkward joke about it.
Oh, dude, I do remember that. See, you know what? That checks out. I could see Jillian and Dave hanging out, and I could see Dave and Russell hanging out, but Russell and Jillian, I think I could sense clashing personalities.
Yeah, who knows if since the taping of those episodes they've become actual friends, but either way, that was their first time meeting on the first episode that we reacted to. But either way, let's take a look at this. We don't have to watch the video, obviously, but Dave Rubin, groundbreaking Gaza deal, Trump's peace ultimatum. So I haven't actually watched this video yet. But given Dave Rubin's fucking stance on Israel, and given what we've just seen from Jillian Michaels in regard to her opinions on Israel, I can only imagine that this is a sickening hour-long piece of propaganda for this new fake peace deal that's been offered up by Israel. And the funniest part, of course, is that much like is often the case with even the best efforts of Israeli propagandists and Hasbarists, only 1,000 views in 3K, and only 1K views in 3 hours. That's pathetic. No one wants to watch this bullshit. Absolutely no one wants to watch this bullshit. Dave Rubin himself is barely relevant anymore. And yeah, no one wants to watch you for an hour defend Israel and talk about how, Hamas needs to accept this deal, or another 100,000 civilians deserve to die because of it, or whatever the fuck, right? It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's completely ridiculous. And one of the things that we speculated, when we watched Jillian Michaels storm out like that, it was like, okay, there's some financial incentive for her to do this, right? We don't know what it is. We don't know, who's financing this. But it seemed to me that was the behavior of somebody that was very afraid of retribution from a boss, from an employer, right? From somebody that was going to turn off the money faucet. Okay. That was my impression. Gavin, you tweeted out something this morning that I thought was very astute. Do you want to add anything before we check it up on screen?
No, let's put this up on screen.
Okay. Not this guy, but this guy. Boom. So WikiLeaks put out this clip where it says $7,000 per post. Israel paying undisclosed U.S. influencers amid Gaza backlash. The Israeli government is paying U.S. content producers up to $7,000, yada, yada, yada. Gavin adds
7,000 per post.
Per post on like Twitter or Instagram. That's nuts.
Yeah, 100%. So obviously Israel knows it's lost the war for public opinion. It's just and it's funny. It's pretty funny that they think any amount of money and propaganda can change that at this point, given what people know and what's been uncovered, right? But yeah, they're paying $7,000 per post, and this is just one of these programs. Who knows how many are out there? Obviously, I was kind of joking. I said, I wonder if Jillian Michaels is involved in this. Maybe that would explain the recent walkout. I think in the comments, Griffin made the joke that walking off a set is at least worth 20K. Yeah, for walking off a show for Israel should be at least worth 20. So obviously we're joking, but you know, you do have to start wondering about this kind of thing, right? Why would Jillian do such a dramatically stupid thing? Not only making herself look incapable of, you know, debating these ideas, but also inadvertently elevating the profiles of the exact people that she was trying to take down, like Ana Kasparian, right?
And losing her job.
And losing her job, right? So it's like, why would you do that? What's going on here? Is she being paid money? Is she chasing money? Does she have handlers in the back? I mean, we know our Congress people have AIPAC handlers, right? So it's not crazy to think that someone like Jillian Michaels might have a contact somewhere.
From
who
Dave
fucking knows?
Rubin,
Exactly.
potentially.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. There's no way I believe for a second that she's doing that podcast for free for 1,000 views worth of Google AdSense money. Are you kidding me? No way. Dave Rubin isn't out here being the last guy on the right defending Israel for free. Okay. We know for a fact, right? I remember Kyle Kalinske talked about this. He said back in the very old days of the Young Turks, when Kyle went out to California, he went to the Young Turks studio, right? And it was a big deal. It was exciting for him. And he met Dave Rubin. And Dave Rubin was asking him, hey, man, like, what's your goal? Like, what's your end game? And Kyle's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm a really popular YouTuber. That's pretty cool. That's my end game. I'm going to do this until I can't anymore. And the guy was like, no, come on. Like, what's your end game? And Kyle was like, this is my end game. I run Secular Talk, the YouTube channel. Like, I'm going to just run it forever. That's my end game. I want to do this. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to keep doing it. And he's like, oh, no, man. Like, you got to hold out for TV work, man. You got to go where the wind blows, man. You got to get that check. And then Dave Rubin went off and he got that fucking check. But we know he's kind of like a murder for hire in politics, right? He's the guy that you can just pay to say whatever you want.
Yup, 100%. And as I mentioned, he's less relevant than ever, which is why it's hilarious that Jillian Michaels is like glomming on to him in an attempt to, you know, regain some relevance after this debacle. Zach, before we move on from the PBD stuff entirely, I also think this would be worth watching another clip of PBD on his own show addressing the situation and what comes next. A viewer sent us this and I was like, oh shit, I totally missed this one. But there's a couple minutes here of from inside the tornado. PBD reacts to Jillian Michaels' explosive walk-off. Do you want to take a look at what he has to say?
Absolutely.
But I don't know if you guys were at the vault. We're inside the tornado. We got a lot of things going on right now. And guess what? We freaking love it. Absolutely love it. We don't feel like we're victims. Oh, poor us. Oh, poor this. Nope. These are all talented ladies that are giving their opinions, and things got heated in a very heated time in America where temperatures are super, super, super high. And we're trying to find a way to lower the temperature by having conversations. It's why I had Nick on. It's why I had BB on last month. And both of them, a guy who's very reputable in the marketplace, who's been around the game for a long time. You're going to see what's going to happen to you next. You're going to see what's going to happen to you next. As if those things does anything to a guy that grew up in Iran being bombed on, living in a freaking wartime. You think that's going to do anything to this kid? What do you think? You're going to see what's going to happen to you next. So stuff you should never tell me. What's going to happen to you next? You out of your freaking mind? Why would you ever have him on? Two crowds asked me about why would you ever have him on? BB and Fuentes. So funny, I had BB, Fuentes, Trump, Tate, Anthony Weiner, name them. Who else? Dan Bilzerian. What do you want to do here? We're not afraid of conversations, guys. When we sit down, we debate these ideas. And if you're a long-term thinker, long-term thinkers, everything works itself out. If you truly have a vision, if you're walking on eggshells every single flipping day, everything has to be perfect for you. Good luck. And that's to everybody.
No, he's rattled.
From any one of you guys on what happened on her take. I don't want your opinions. Guys, here. This is our show. This is our brand. We're not going to say anything here. We're going to move on. I'm giving you mine. You're hearing it from the EP of her take. I want to take a moment quickly to address that, and we can move on to anything else. By the way, if you're a talent looking to be on her take, and actually, some people were thinking Adam would be great for her take,
Yeah,
but
we're gonna address.
we had a bad incident, which, by the way, Anna didn't walk off when he did what he did. And I called you and I said what? I said, hey, I was what? Distasteful.
Yeah.
To do something like that, right? Just running. I just said that's distasteful on what you did, and he said, hey, you know what? Good, we'll move on. But if you're a lady, and you also in 2027,
If you are a lady, listen, you don't mind, dump on here, dump on there, get thrown in your face, whatever. Benjamin Netanyahu, he comes in, he says, well, this is a pretty good podcast, it's just, I can't stop laughing at the fact that he's trying to act all tough and hard. He's like, I grew up in bombed Iran, right? But what he's really doing is he's shitting his pants that people are going to unsubscribe from his podcast.
Yeah, it's very weird. It was also weird how he was like, I don't want your opinions. Like everyone else here, this is my opinion. I'm the EP of Valuetainment. Like, shut the fuck up. I didn't ask for your opinion. Like, no one was even trying to really say an opinion. He just randomly cut them off before they even jumped in. That was bizarre. And then he also spilled some tea, revealed that he kind of did, make what's his face apologize after throwing the tampon at Anna. What's that guy's name? Adam. Yeah, he kind of called up Adam and reprimanded him after that incident.
Mildly.
Yeah, mildly for sure. But still, that's pretty funny. He let that out. And then just a few more seconds here. And then you can also see the beautiful new PBD merch that's now on sale, Zach.
Oh, God.
You want to be part of the plan that we have on what we want to do by 2027, 2028, and you're somebody that's willing to have the conversation, reach out to me on Manect. Or send us
On
recommendations in Manect Circle. Anybody that you want. Rob, can you go to Manect Circle's QR code? Go there, join our circle, PBD Podcast Circle. You can join it for free. Or if you want to comment on it, you can join it for $10 a month. And tell us what you think. Tell us who you recommend. We will get back to you and see on exactly what we'll have there. We're always hiring people for the show, and we're excited about it. And when we regroup and come back,
that's the real question. Can we ask that question, Gavin?
Which one?
Why was Adam carrying a tampon? Why did that guy walk in there with the tampon? That's the one convincing portion. Shout out to you, Mary. That's the one convincing argument that it was totally staged.
Maybe he's a trans man and he needs them. We don't know.
My mistake, Adam. You go slay. You go slay out there, Adam.
Remember the whole tampon Tim thing when because Tim Waltz put tampons in the men's bathrooms or whatever.
Yeah, I do. In high schools, I remember. I don't want to reignite the Emily Jasinski thing, but I remember that she tweeted out. She was like, "It's true. Tim Walz has done a lot of really positive things for the constituents of his state, but we have to remember tampons and pornography in schools." And I was like, "LOL."
Yeah, no, it's a good question though, and I think the only actual explanation for it is that Adam just pre-planned that and was like he figured he would get into a debate with Anna probably over Israel or whatever, and he was like, when that happens, to diffuse the situation with some macho style humor instead of actually having to defend a very unpopular thing, I'll just get out the tampon and throw it at her because that'll distract everyone and it'll just become a story in and of itself and people won't actually talk about the debate we were having. So I guess it was pre-planned in that sense, but it is crazy that he was thinking that far ahead. He's like, oh, I'm gonna really manufacture a viral moment here. I'm really gonna trigger the libs.
Going through the faith over fear.
Thank you.
Shirt that, by the way, thousands.
I love you guys.
That's
orders. What I'm talking about.
Thousands of orders. Awesome. For people to have that kind of boldness to put that out there, Vinny, gotta respect it.
You have it's literally the cross. You're letting everybody know who you are in the front, and you're letting them know I have faith and I'm not afraid of anything. And I got so many Manecks and so many DMs from girls that are like, "Where you never have anything for us?" Guess what? We got
all the girls on Manect hitting up Vinny.
Yeah, this is all bullshit. It's funny too because this is all marketing, so they can lie and say they've sold as many shirts as they want. But I would be impressed if they actually had sold more than 1,000 of these shirts. I would be genuinely impressed and appalled. I'd be aghast, actually. I would be like, I don't believe you.
I don't know, Zach. Thousands of people are buying the new designs on our shirt. So,
everybody, we can't keep them on the shelves.
But yeah, it's so funny. I mean, for one, the fact that they keep referencing people have been messaging me on Manect. I keep getting flooded with messages on Manect. Obviously, it's so funny. It's so clear they're being contractually obligated to mention it a certain amount of times per episode. Just casually, nonchalantly dropping it in there. You know what? Manect, messaging me on Manect, which is basically OnlyFans for grifters. You get ripped off for the opportunity to talk with a grifter instead of a porn star or whatever you do on OnlyFans, exchange messages for like an absurd amount of money, right? Yeah, Manect is literally like, again, instead of beating off, you get to talk to Patrick, Bet, David, or Vinny for like 15 minutes, and then you get charged like $1,500 or more. It's literally like phone sex or something, but with grifters. It's crazy. And the fact that he was like, suggest a new host for Her Take, drop me a Manect. It's like, what, pay me $200, $300, $400 to suggest something? Like, what?
Well, for $10 a month, you can leave a comment, Gavin. It's very affordable, and plus, your network is your net worth. Okay, Gavin, listen, let me be very clear about this. I come from Iran, bomb torn country, bombs everywhere. When I grow up, I say, wow, what do I want to do? I'm going to be very successful. I'm going to be the man who did.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir.